Hello, welcome to the Jones Zone. Today, I've got a suggested topic from my friend Marina, and that is going to be a where to start comic books. So if you remember, back, I think it was a couple of weeks ago, I did a where to start Doctor Who. So I thought, because she suggested that I talk about, how to get into comic books. So I thought I'd make this like where to start as like a little sub category for the vlogs. So this is where to start comic books, and basically what I'm gonna talk about is if you've never gotten into comic books, never read any comic books, how to go about getting into it, because comic books are a minefield. Like, they are just craziness. There's so many different stories. They reboot themselves like every 3 years, especially DC and Marvel. DC and Marvel are always rebooting themselves. So there's a lot. And I'm going to suggest two ways you can go about getting into comic books. The first way is pick the first issue of a comic that you think you're going to enjoy and just start from there. Because if you start from the first issue and just follow it as it goes along, you're not going to get lost. But I would suggest just starting out with one comic book run. So for example, Spider-Man #1, or The Avengers #1, or Batman #1, and just follow it. The comics are usually released monthly. Just follow it until that run stops. That is my first suggestion, because it's impossible to get lost or go wrong with that. But if you're very new to comic books, I'd only start with one, because obviously comic books as well cross over, and a lot of these runs might cross over. Like Spider-Man might cross over into an Avengers run, or Batman might cross over into a Justice League run. But generally, you don't need to worry about that so much if you're following the storyline of one character's run, because much like movies, they will just self-contain that story as much as they can, except there are cases with comic books where that's not always the case, because you can do more in a comic book and get away with a lot more. But that would be my first suggestion. My second suggestion is to just pick like a one-shot graphic novel, or one specific story arc from a comic book run. So an example of this would be Batman Death in the Family. That is one specific arc of storylines. And if you know who Batman is, and you know what he's about, you can follow that story. Another example of that would be Marvel's Civil War. You can literally just buy that as like one big graphic novel, and it's got all the issues in it. So that would be like my two suggestions for how to get into comic books if you've never read any comic books and you want to start. Those, I think, are the two most accessible ways. And I'm just going to close this vlog out with my recommendation for a comic book. This is a one-shot graphic novel. I would recommend checking out Batman the Killing Joke. I think it's like the ultimate Batman Joker story. It's where a lot of the films take inspiration from, and it's where a lot of iconic Joker moments are in that story. So that will be my recommendation for a comic to start your journey with. I hope you liked this video though, and if you did, please like, comment and subscribe. That would mean a lot. And I'll see you next time.